The whiskey burned my throat, a jagged fire that matched the ache in my chest as I stared at the text on my phone. Meet me at the usual spot. 8 p.m. Don't tell her. The words blurred through tears I refused to let fall. My husband, Eric, had sent it, not to me, but to her. I'd found it by chance, his phone left unlocked on the kitchen counter, a rare crack in his meticulous armor. My hands trembled as I gripped the glass, the amber liquid slushing against the sides, reflecting the dim glow of our loft's exposed bulbs. The city hummed outside, a distant pulse of horns and sirens, but inside, the silence was deafening. I'd known something was wrong for months. It was in the way Eric's eyes darted away when I asked about late nights at the lab, the way his laugh felt rehearsed when I teased him about his new cologne. "Work's just intense," he'd say, his voice smooth as polished steel, and I'd nod, swallowing the unease like a bitter pill. He was a brilliant engineer, the one who'd built our life from late-night sketches to a corner office at Nextech. I was a supportive wife, the one who proofread patents and hosted dinners for his team, smiling through the exhaustion. But now, staring at that text, I felt the ground shift beneath me, the life we'd built cracking like thin ice. The usual spot was a Blue Heron, a dive bar tucked behind a laundromat, where the air smelled of stale beer and regret. I'd gone there once, years ago, when Eric forgot his wallet after the team happy hour. I remembered the bartender's sly grin, the way she'd called him Doc, like it was their little secret. Was she the one? I scrolled further, my heart pounding like a war drum, finding months of messages, cryptic, intimate, laced with a familiarity that wasn't mine. "Miss you already. Can't wait for Thursday." Each word was a knife, twisting deeper, carving out the trust I'd clung to. I didn't confront him that night. Instead, I watched. Eric came home at 11, his tie loosened, his face flushed with something I mistook for fatigue. "Long day," he muttered, kissing my forehead, his lips cold against my skin. I nodded, my smile a fragile mask, and said, "You work too hard." Inside, I was screaming, my mind racing with questions I wasn't ready to ask. What if I was wrong? What if it was just a colleague, a misunderstanding? But the doubt gnawed at me, a relentless hunger, and I began to notice the cracks I'd ignored, the receipts for dinners I hadn't eaten, the faint scent of jasmine on his jacket, a perfume I'd never worn. The next week, I followed him. The Blue Heron's neon sign flickered as I parked across the street, my hands clammy on the steering wheel. Through the grimy window, I saw them, Eric and her, a woman with auburn hair and a laugh that carried over the jukebox. She leaned close, her hand brushing his, and he didn't pull away. My chest tightened, a vice of betrayal squeezing the air from my lungs. I wanted to storm in, to scream, to shatter their little world, but I stayed frozen, my breath fogging the car window, my heart breaking in slow motion. At home, I played the devoted wife, cooking his favorite meals, asking about his day, each word a test of my endurance. He talked about the new patent, a quantum chip design worth billions, Nextech's golden ticket. "It's my legacy," he said, his eyes alight with ambition, and I nodded, my mind elsewhere, plotting. I'd been his partner in every sense, pouring my own career into his success, but now I saw the truth. I was disposable, a prop in his story. The anger simmered, mixing with grief, until it hardened into something else, resolve. I started digging. At Nextech, I had access to the patent files, the ones Eric thought I'd never touch. Late at night, while he slept, I pored over his work, the intricate designs he'd spent years perfecting. I found emails, too, not love notes, but worse, negotiations with competitor, Cipher Corp. Eric was planning to jump ship, to sell the patent and leave Nextech, and me, in the dust. The betrayal wasn't just personal. It was professional, a double-edged blade that cut through everything I believed in. I should have been devastated, but the pain had numbed to a cold clarity. I contacted Cipher Corp anonymously, using a burner email, and offered them the patent schematics. They didn't ask questions. They just wired the money, $3.1 billion, more than Nextech's valuation. I didn't do it for the cash. I did it to burn his world down, to take the one thing he valued more than me. 14 days after he fired me from our marriage with that text, I finalized the deal, the funds tucked away in an offshore account he'd never find. The night I left, I stood in our loft, the city lights casting shadows across the hardwood. Eric was at the Blue Heron, oblivious, probably laughing with her. I left a note on the counter. Thank you for everything. No explanation, no accusations, just those 4 words, sharp as a guillotine. I drove to the airport, my suitcase light, my heart heavy with a strange mix of triumph and loss. The patent was gone. Nextech's stock would plummet, and Eric would face the wreckage of his ambition. But as the plane took off, the city shrinking below, I felt the weight of my own betrayal. I'd won, but at what cost? The man I'd loved was a ghost, and the woman I'd become was a stranger. The victory was hollow, the sky endless, and my heart, still breaking, carried the echo of his laugh, the one I'd never hear again.